Vinyl and Octavia, University Days, by DawnFade. Chapter 1. The West Manhattan University grounds were impeccable, to say the least. Perched atop a huge plateau of grassland just outside the city proper, it was a marvel of engineering and art. The most obvious features were the Pegasus lecture theatres and labs that floated above the rest of the campus, the large bushy court in the center, dotted with trees and a small stream, and from which the rest of the university radiated outwards along two main paths that intersected in the middle. And of course, the vast array of abstract art pieces littered at seemingly random places throughout the court. It was the beginning of a new year, and all the first years were nervously shuffling about and glancing at maps, occasionally gathering the courage to ask for directions. All the first years, that is, except for two. The first was an earth pony with fur like pale ash and a straight mane of charcoal. Around her neck was a pink bow tie attached to a white collar. Her name was Octavia, and she was a cellist studying musical theory, classical, history, and, strangely enough, psychology. The second pony was a white-furred unicorn with an electric blue mane that spoke of 1,000 parties gone by and 1,000,000 to come. Covering her eyes were a pair of dark purple shades that hid everything and revealed nothing. Her name was Vinyl, and she was a DJ studying musical theory, modern, drawing, and, strangely enough, psychology. They met for the first time outside of a lecture theatre, brushing shoulders as they left. Neither said a word, and they forgot about each other completely within minutes of it. A more lasting impression was made outside a tutorial room as they waited for their tutor to arrive. 23 ponies, including them, were also gathered in somewhat awkward silence. Determined not to be simply part of a crowd, Octavia turned to face the pony nearest her, which just so happened to be Vinyl. "Hello. I am Octavia. A pleasure to meet you," she said pleasantly, extending a hoof. Rather than shake it, the white unicorn slugged it and flashed a smile. "Sup? Name's Vinyl Scratch. You've probably heard of me." Gingerly putting her aching hoof back down, Octavia shook her head. "No, I'm afraid I haven't." "Does DJ Pone 3 ring a bell?" Her eyebrows bounced as if to jog the cellist's memory. "No. You need to hit some clubs then. My music guarantees a good time." In my experience, hitting some clubs is rarely synonymous with positive emotions and experiences. The DJ cocked her head curiously. "Why do you talk like that? It sounds kind of silly." Octavia frowned as she replied, "Talk like what? This is how I normally speak." "Oh, wow. So, were you born in Canterlot or something?" "No, I was born here in Manhattan, though thank you for the compliment." She preened happily at being mistaken for a Canterlot citizen. No worries." The DJ realized they clearly had very different opinions on what being from Canterlot meant. Thankfully, she was rescued by the sudden arrival of their tutor. He was a tall stallion with frizzy red hair and orange fur. Every step he took seemed to bounce off the ground, and his tail swished non-stop with boundless energy. Every iota of his being screamed, "Let's get ready to learn!" The ponies shuffled inside and took their seats at 3 large tables arranged in an abstract manner. Octavia smartly sat next to her new acquaintance and pulled out her notepad and pen, while Vinyl sighed and dumped her saddlebags on the desk. "All right, folks, let's get the introductions out of the way. My name is Psych. Let's do a bit of a game to get to know each other." Every pony groaned at the same time. Octavia rolled her eyes at their immaturity and decided to opine on the subject. "Honestly, what did any of you expect? This is the first week of the course." Psych shrugged. "She has a point, you know. This is pretty standard." "Doesn't mean we have to like it," grumbled Vinyl, to the murmured assent of surrounding ponies. "Oh, I'm sure you'll like it just fine. However," he gestured to Octavia and the DJ, "I saw you two talking on the way in, so I'm afraid I'm going to need to move you. There's no point doing a friend-making activity with some pony who's already a friend, after all." As the cellist started to interject with the fact that they had only just met, Vinyl quickly floated her bags across to an empty desk on the other side of the room. "So long, Octavia." "My name is Octavia." "Whatever." The unicorn trotted to her new place. Psych observed the exchange with great interest and a small smile. Shaking his head, he once again brought attention back to himself. "I want you all to talk to the person next to you and learn as much as you can. Then, in 10 minutes, you will introduce them to the class. The activity ended up taking a lot longer than 10 minutes, as Psych had too much fun listening to all the different conversations. Finally, he stopped them and began the introductions. Now, Octavia, how about you introduce your hopeful new friend there? As you wish. The grey mare stood up straight. This is Bonbon. She enjoys making various kinds of confectionery treats. She's taking this psychology course to help her learn how to attract more ponies to her store, such as what colors are more likely to attract attention and whatnot. Excellent job, Octavia. Very succinct. The mare smiled at the praise and sat back down. Bonbon, would you kindly introduce Octavia to us? With a dark blue mane and pink highlights, Bonbon looked like a stereotypical university student, the kind that would be on advertisements explaining the values of pursuing an education. This is Octavia. She's studying musical theory and history and plays the violin, she said hopefully. Cello, actually. Oh, sorry. Vinyl piped up from across the room. Hang on, I'm doing musical theory too, and I haven't seen you at the lecture or the tutes. Why in Equestria are you doing musical theory? The refined pony replied incredulously. Being a DJ hardly requires extensive education. The buck did you just say? The tutor reluctantly stepped in. Easy, you two. I know for a fact that there are 2 musical theory classes, one classical and the other modern. There's no need to start arguing. I'm sure you have something in common, considering both of you are musically oriented. Yeah, we both like modern music. Oh, whoops, you like classical, don't you, Octavia? Shame. How does it feel knowing a monkey could be trained to play your cello? I saw it at the circus once. The DJ stuck out her tongue. Modern. All that clanging and thumping is more akin to a primitive pony slapping rocks with sticks. You have more in common with the monkey than with me, you ape. Clearly offended, the dark-maned pony wasn't going to just take that insult to her music. Vinyl stood up so quickly that her chair fell over. What did you call me, snob? Rising as well, Octavia held her ground. I called you an ape. All you do is rub strings with a stick, and you call me primitive? I make music with sounds you can't even comprehend, let alone enjoy. Octavia's face scrunched up into a scowl as she stepped even closer. What kind of charlatan are you? It takes skill to make music. Vinyl also moved towards the target of her anger, violently squashing the absurd urge to laugh that she always got when some pony yelled at her. It had made encounters with the high school principal tense, to say the least. Are you calling me a fake? She said dangerously. The sight of the proud grey pony swallowing before replying was satisfying. Clearly the DJ was still able to intimidate skillfully. I'm not calling you a fake, but I am saying that making your music doesn't take even half the skill that playing a cello does. To make up for lost ground, she took another step forward and brought herself face to face with the furious unicorn. With her cheeks flushed from shouting and her nose crinkled in distaste, Octavia looked more than a bit amusing. Vinyl opened her mouth to say as much when the tutor finally stepped in again, clearly thinking she was about to go for the throat. All right, ladies, let's dial it down a notch. As much as I love having 2 complete opposites arguing in my class, and believe me, I love it, I feel the need to stop this before it goes too far. Now that the tension was broken, the 2 mares looked around and noticed they had captured the rapt attention of the entire class. Vinyl chuckled awkwardly and scratched the back of her head as she returned to her seat, while Octavia merely adjusted her mane and gracefully rejoined her table. Taking back control of his room, Psyche clapped his hooves together. Right! That was a fantastic demonstration of conflicting personalities. I hope you were all taking notes. The pony scrambled to write down anything they could remember. This presents a very unique opportunity for our class. Real-life studies go a lot further than textbooks, you know. He paused for a moment to collect his thoughts, glancing at the clock on the wall. Well, we don't have time to get into anything right now, but I have an idea for next week. As Pony started packing up, he outlined his master plan. Octavia, I want you and Vinyl to spend time together on the weekend. What? They shouted in unison, making the rest of the class crack up. You want me to spend time with her? Exclaimed Octavia. Yeah, I was planning to have fun on the weekend, Vinyl added, earning a glare from across the room. Because, Psyche explained patiently, this is a great opportunity to study how a relationship can change over time, for better or worse. We'll compare our notes from today with your behavior on Monday, then draw conclusions and make predictions based on that data. In fact, I may get you two to hang out together rather frequently, so we can have more data points. This isn't strictly on the set coursework, but I think it will be a fun little side project. Take psychology, they said. The teacher's nice, they said, muttered Vinyl. violently shoving her notepad into a saddlebag.